Welcome to another episode of Uncensored Daily Radar, where your fellow foiled friend scans the entire globe for what may or may not be artificial and nefarious activity. We go through satellite radar as well as the zippity zip zap radar, aka NEXRAD, to better understand atmospheric and environmental conditions in full context. Before we get started, there are a few things that you should know. Number one, I repeat, I am not a meteorologist, but I am a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, which obviously makes me far more qualified to analyze atmospheric conditions. Number two, videos are fairly short, but feel free to skip ahead to any section you're most interested in. And lastly, if you'd like to see these daily radar videos, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. Otherwise, this video is about to reach a paywall, and we'll pause right now. Now. Okay. All right, let's get started. Good evening. It is November 14th, about 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get started. All right, so we're just going to look at a general overview of what's happening on NEXRAD. We're going to jump into some data and news, come back, we'll zoom in and do like a deep dive of certain areas, and then we will check out trails. Now, actually, I'm not on the trail filter right now. I was trying to figure out where the heck this AQI is coming from. Because we have had, well, actually, this one looks a little bit better than it was. But remember how in Utah, like, what the heck is that? What's been causing that? There is no fire there. But this area has been looking really bad for over a week. I can't find a reason for it. And this area was under an AQI warning. People in several of these states were warned to stay inside. And when you look at the smoke map, this has been looking like this every freaking day for, gosh, 2 or 3 weeks, maybe longer, actually. It looks like the source is somewhere here in Mexico, but when you try to look up anything regarding it, if you can recall from the last show, there's nothing. There's nothing. I sent this image to ChatGPT, and it said it believes that how this is laid out, the origination would be over here for the fires. Maybe not one giant fire, but a ton of little fires or agricultural burns. I don't know, but it's kind of driving me nuts that areas can just have such terrible AQI and there isn't any sort of like, oh, why is this happening? Let's find out. Okay, let's report that to the people. Like, there's just none of that's going on. It's very hard to find. Thankfully, I did find a new fire map that is quite useful. Now, if the area has a lot of cloud cover, or if the smoke is like really thick, you can't, it'll not show you the fires. But this is NASA FIRMS, their Fire Information for Resource Management System. And this can really show you a lot of good information. I just discovered it today. I'm still learning how to use it. There's a ton of different settings and layers. It's a little complicated, like just because I just discovered it, but I'm going to play with it and figure it out because I want to see what the source is. It looks like there's a lot of smoke coming down from here, actually, which is interesting. These little areas here, I believe, are smoke. It turned out, aerosols, heightened aerosols. It looks like there's a lot over here where that terrible AQI is. And what's cool is you can go back in time. If I can turn back time. Sorry, I wish some of these other apps that we use could do that. In fact, since we're here, we're so going out of order right now for things I normally... If I could find a way... Okay. Because this area here... Oh, that was pretty bad there. Maybe I should zoom out. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. All right, so these are aerosols, I believe. Aerosol index. Okay, 4, 5, So there's obviously some kind of a cluster here. But it's not every day. But when it is there, it's in the same spot. Well, let's go back to October 22nd. Nothing. Something. Something. Nothing. Is that a pattern? Will the next day be something? Okay, something. More of something. Even more of something. Even more of something. Even worse. Okay, so no pattern. Pretty bad, but in a select area. Okay, so on November 5th, this area was clear. Let's pull up my show and see what the see if the AQI was bad here that day on November 5th. If it wasn't, then it could be aerosol related. Okay, so this was on the 5th in the morning, and it was really bad at this point. So the aerosols, at least with these filters, do not seem to correlate. Unless there was something up. I wish I could see the time that this was taken, because the next day it was bad. I really have to, it's driving me nuts why northern Utah was so freaking bad, and why the smoke map on this other, where is it? On this map is showing that there's smoke there. And people in this area have been telling me they can smell smoke. So it's there. I don't know, I just really have to, it's driving me nuts. Now this area does have smoke, but because the mountain range and everything, the smoke can go to different levels, different layers of the atmosphere. So they're not being detected in the range that this is being detected. So the smoke is here. Now, is it coming from Mexico? Is it coming from something in the Gulf? Who frickin' knows? I want to find out. I want to know why humans don't have, why everyday citizens can't apply for the use, for viewership of live satellite data from things like this. We have stuff that's pretty close, but anyway, that was off track. Okay, so let's see what's been going down. Every single glow you see here is a NEXRAD radar station. The official statement is that's just simply Doppler radar, helping us track weather systems, give us forecasts, things like that. The conspiracy theory, though, is that these towers are equipped with more technology than just Doppler, but that they are capable of manipulating the weather in various ways. One of those ways being that it can heat up the atmosphere. And that is critical, because if you can heat up the atmosphere, you can do multiple things. Number one, you can create, well, obviously, drought and heat waves. But number two, you create high pressure zones. And high pressure zones can be used as barriers. They are natural barriers to low pressure systems, aka storms. When storms, those are low pressure areas, come up to a high pressure zone, it will be redirected. It will be discouraged from entering that area. So theoretically, if you were a diabolical genius, right, and you wanted to hit a certain area with a hurricane, you could surround on either side. You could surround the hurricane with high pressure zones, encouraging the low pressure system to go in whatever path you want. You could encourage the storm to go wherever you want, essentially. So yes, you can create high pressure zones, you can create heat and drought, and also when you excessively heat up an area next to a space that isn't heating up, you're creating massive temperature swings and collisions of pretty different temperatures. So, super hot, normal, probably much cooler. When they come into contact, you create massive amounts of wind. Also, some people do theorize that these towers can be used as direct energy weapons, or even to manipulate humans themselves. As we all know, as many of us know, every single thing that's in existence is a vibration. Light is a vibration. We are all frequency, and you could literally control anything with the bombardment of certain frequencies. So I see why many people do suspect that that could be what's occurring in certain areas at certain times. I don't know for sure, but that's just one of those theories. And also, a lot of people think that these towers can be used in conjunction with cell towers. Not that they're actually cell towers, but maybe like NexRad, they're equipped with technology beyond just allowing people to communicate on their phones and access data. Yeah, Southern California has been zip-zapping away. Remember how I said that that flame-like radar could indicate fire, excessive wind. Can also sometimes mean excessive storms in general. But normally it's the wind and the fires that I see as a pattern so far. All right, looks like, oh, by the way, at night they get more sensitive. So as the sun is setting and moving this way, they glow more. You can see more of what they're doing. Looks like there's a lot of trails coming in from the Pacific. This was last night. A lot of trails looking like they were down here, actually, in Southern California during the night last night. Ooh, what? Wait a minute. What the heck is that? Okay, so interesting pattern, right? The static zip-zappery. I've never seen it going in a line like this. And it's down here too. Okay, let's see if it's birds. 14:25 UTC on the 14th. 14 on the 14th. Let's see. Nope, not birds. At this exact moment, this is where supposedly there were some birds, but it was low. And remember, this is the bird migration map. They make this map using NexRad radar stations. That's why this looks just like the radar map. And the idea is that the Doppler radar bounces off of objects, and it can differentiate between objects, and they're able to figure out what are birds. So then they make this map to show bird migration, what direction they're flying. Yeah, some people think that this map is a total farce and it's like a patsy. I don't know. I kind of think it's legit. I think if they were trying to cover up, they would have covered up a whole lot more on NexRad. So this is interesting. And you know what I see, my friends? Possibly a clue. Hear my cat? Oh, I hope that picked it up. I said a clue. And my cat went, oh. Oh, what is this? Okay, we'll look at that later. But what I want to see. Now, it's probably not what I'm thinking. But my goodness, if it was, that would be freaking crazy. Yeah, this is more likely. Do you see the star here? It goes dum, 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 dum. Okay, more likely it's the laser beams from the radar making that. But when I see trails, sometimes they look just like this. It would be so interesting if at this moment there's a star made by the trails. That would be interesting. I'm thinking no, because I can see the line here. It's probably not. But let's confirm. So we're going to go to 14:45 UTC on the 14th. All right, so it would have been here. This is 15. So I'd have to change the interval. But no, it wasn't. It wasn't. But you know what? This area did get a lot of freaking lines, though. Trails. Lots and lots of trails. All mixed in here, down here, down here. But no, that time, nope. Those are genuine NexRad beams. They just happen to look like a star. In fact, it's so beautiful. We should take a picture of that. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Da, 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 da. Did I zoom in too far? Or maybe it's by being zoomed out far that you can really just... Yeah, there it is. It doesn't look as much like a star when you zoom in so much. Yeah, zoomed out further, it looks more like one. Anyway, total side quest. All right, let's get back to the general overview. I'm seeing people with Christmas decorations out. I don't know. I usually do that after Thanksgiving. Oh, yeah. We'll have to zoom in because remember that weird little radial pulse we saw? Okay, so there was something going down over here. And you know what? This pattern, where was it? Was it last night? Was it the night after? This is definitely such a unique pattern that we could look through all the data we have and see if we can find a pattern like this at this time. With anything else, maybe AQI, not smoke. Smoke has been pretty much the same. We'll look at all the data we have and see if there's any reason why this might look like this. So it's like a line down the center. It's like a little S. And then down here in the panhandle of Florida and just kind of surrounding the Gulf area. There is a lot of fog, actually, in this area. Was there fog here? Man, dude, windy, annoying. They need to allow you to go back in time even further. The furthest I could go is 10 a.m. today. But no, there's no indication of there's fog here. So it's expected to be bad tonight. Yeah, it's 4 a.m. tomorrow. From what I can see, there seems to be no correlation here. All right, I'll move on. But as we go through data, we'll keep this pattern in mind because something is going to correlate with this. Something. If we're looking in the right spots, maybe we're not. Maybe we need better sources, we need more information. And as far as all this blue and green, this tends to match the bird migration map. So if we go to right now, yeah. So see, they're up here, down here in Florida, over in Arizona, up here, down here near Florida, and over here in Arizona, not really showing that actually. In this area at the bottom of New Mexico, this has been glowing quite a bit. Same with Texas. This supposedly has nothing to do with the birds here and here. And I really doubt California has anything to do with the birds because this place has been glowing nonstop for, gosh, so much. I mean, for months and months and months. But for months and months and months prior, California didn't really show anything at all. Very, very strange. All right, let's move on to some data, shall we? Oh, yeah, tell me how you guys have been feeling lately because of that supposed geothermal event, if that really is what that was. A lot of people reported ringing in ears, migraines, vertigo, dizziness, just exacerbation of already like symptoms that people are already trying to fight off. I definitely it was weird. I'm starting to worry because I was like, wait, am I not recording my face? How does it even let me do that? How long have I not been on here? I apologize, guys. That stinks. Because I know how wonderful my face is. I'm just kidding. I just hope it wasn't boring. Anyway, yeah, I heard ringing in my ears. I mean, not all day, but it would come and go. And it was happening, I don't know, several times. And yeah, very, very strange. Very strange. Indubitably. All right, let's look at severe weather warnings. This area is under severe fog warnings, or moderate dense fog advisory, which is a little different from how from how the article's framing it. Super fog in Louisiana. Super fog. Not just Louisiana and southern Mississippi, southern Alabama. We got, I believe these are gale wind warnings along the north central, northeastern portion of the United States, with moderate winter weather advisories in New York, Vermont, New Hampshire. Is that how you say it? Moderate gale wind warnings over by the Great Lakes. Over in southeastern Wyoming, we have severe high wind warnings. This is where that hot spot's been. In southern Utah, we have moderate winter weather advisories. Oh, and looky here, Southern California, severe flood watches. A pretty decent portion of California under severe flood watch. How interesting. And the western coastline by San Francisco. Come on, let me click you. Moderate beach hazards statement. Sneaker waves and rip currents. Waves up to 20 feet expected. My gosh, I could not imagine a 20-foot wave. That's an interesting little shape here. What's this? What? Moderate snowfall. I guess it's following a specific lake? I don't know. This is odd. The people over here were like, we're fine. Oh, it's probably has something to do with altitude. Maybe that area is, if we pulled up a topographic map. Okay, fine, I'll do it just because I'm curious. Oh, great, I don't know how to do it. How do I change this? Discovery. I didn't realize down here on the bottom near Windy, you can turn on webcams and click on areas around the world to see what it looks like right now. That's so cool. I've moved on. I moved on from the topography part. I will look at that another time. I've already sidetracked so many times in the show. No cyclones anywhere. However, although we are entering winter, I don't ever consider hurricane season over. We have no dust over here. How odd is that? Isn't that strange that just when hurricane season's coming to an end, it's like this has been the clearest the Atlantic has been in so long. We've had this dust all through here for most of the year, maybe even all year. And that's been the number one reason we haven't had any hurricanes forming. In fact, the only times we had hurricanes forming was when the dust would take a little break for a day or two. But this is going on 4 days. This is the most I've seen clear. Wonder if it's expected to come back out in the next few days. Oh, well, it looks like they think it might start coming out again by next week. Air quality. Let's go to right now. Not good down here. Nitrogen dioxide moves with the sunshine. Actually, it moves. Whoa, wait a minute. Did this just not take a break today? Oh, that's interesting. Nitrogen dioxide usually almost goes away completely during the day. How did it behave elsewhere? Let's go to the middle of the day. Yeah, this is a lot. That's a lot of nitrogen dioxide for daytime in the United States. Let's see what it was like here in the middle of the night. I'm sorry, daytime for them. I guess it's always high over there. Jeez. Yeah, but the U.S. usually gets a break from that. That is interesting. PM 2.5, not good, not good. That's probably where those fires are coming from. We also have fires here, obviously. Aerosols showing up more here than here. Obviously, there's some going on over there. Ozone layer. I don't normally click on this. Interesting. Sulfur dioxide. Let's go to the middle of the day. Pretty high in much of the United States, actually. That must be where it is. This must be where it is. The sulfur dioxide right here. Fire. A lot of the times. Agricultural burning. So Mexico City. Is there any news coming out of Mexico City for air quality? There ain't nothing no how. But we can see it, can't we? We know it is there. Their AQI is not very good. Got 79. Yeah, 137. Oh yeah, right near that fire there. Interesting. What's the AQI like over here? Lower, but not great in some of these areas. What is all this? What is this plumage here? I wonder what they're burning. Because there's no talk of wildfires. Are these prescribed fires? Are they doing this on purpose? I don't know. Doesn't seem to be worrying anybody out there because no one's writing articles on it. Surface ozone, or the media doesn't feel inclined to cover it at least. Surface ozone, not good around Florida. Not good over here where that something burning is happening. Carbon monoxide concentration, not good actually over here. Pretty bad. It's worse than I'm used to seeing actually. And as usual, this area kind of gets a break. Pressure. This whole area is under low pressure. And this area is under high pressure with pockets of low pressure on the west. Earthquakes, nothing really stood out. I did click on this guy just to see what it was because sometimes one will pop up over here. And that was a 4.9. Mag. 4.6 over here. All along fault lines. Not unusual. And I looked around the world and didn't see. That looks 5.0. Yep. And remember, the U.S. has the most sensitive. It's the best earthquake monitoring system in the world. That's why we can detect things down to 0 magnitude. Look at that, 0.7. Pretty sick. We already looked at this. And yeah, these are, like I said, active fires. So there's smoke directly, like right here being picked up. But like I said, the areas with the most dense smoke would be blocking fire indicators. I'll have to get to know this better. Okay. Dangerous flash flood threat in California prompts evacuation warnings from multi-day atmospheric river. Notice how we've been hearing about these atmospheric rivers more and more and more lately. We've heard of micro bursts, cloud bursts, super fog, and atmospheric rivers. Atmospheric rivers are, aren't like this brand new thing everyone's talking about, but it's certainly been mentioned a whole lot more. Evacuation warnings have been issued for the areas of the Palisades, Franklin, Easton Canyon fires, among other locations. Let's see what the normies have to say.
Let's take you right out to the west, where the rain is already making its mark. Evacuations are in order near burn scar areas. We do have Fox Weather's Bane Froney. She starts us off tonight. Bane, this area has been vulnerable ever since those wildfires at the start of the year. How has it been for you throughout the day as you've seen these showers move in?
Yeah, you know, Stephen, it's been really interesting to watch because, you know, I've actually spent time in Bakersfield, California, and came over to this area near Malibu quite often in my time working over there, and just seeing the landscape and the neighborhoods completely destroyed. It's been devastating, to say the least. I mean, this area is already so vulnerable, already hit by Mother Nature once, and then once again getting hit with more of this rain. Now, this is the rainy season for California, I will say, but even that, it's going to be a lot more rain than they're used to seeing all at once. And I do want to mention right behind me, we do already have those road closures in place. This is Topanga Canyon Boulevard. Now, this is already closed in preparation for some of that rain to be rolling on through. We are expecting to see debris flows, flash flooding, as well as, you know, even mudslides possible thanks to all of these burn scars that you're seeing over into this roadway. And, you know, the reason that we end up seeing these really scary situations because of burn scars is because, well, the soil, it can't absorb any more of that water after it's been burned. On top of this, too, the vegetation is completely gone, so it has no way of stopping all of that water from coming down these incredibly steep hills. So this is why the roadways have already been closed in preparation and in anticipation for what's to come. Now, already today, we've seen on and off showers picking up over 1/4 of an inch of rain throughout the LA County area. Now, to some folks watching, they may think that's not a whole lot of rain, but in California, it is. I mean, for the entire month of November, we see around 3/4 of an inch of rain in the LA area. So already we're seeing 1/3 of that within just about 24 hours. And we are expecting to see 3 to 5 inches of rain falling by the time we get into the end of this weekend. And to put this into perspective for you, November through January, that's the rainy season, usually picking up around maybe 4 inches for that entirety of the winter season. I mean, this is going to be months worth of rain within the coming days. So this can be a very dangerous situation already for an area where it has a lot of hilly topography, a little bit of a drier area as well. But of course, with those most vulnerable spots, with the burn scars. On top of this too, Steve, we have to watch out for those gustier winds that you were mentioning as well. And, you know, once we start to see that low pressure system really taking hold and getting stronger, that instability is also going to increase. So we could also be watching out for some severe storms that are going to start to roll on in. And when these thunderstorms pop up, we could see rain rates up to 1 inch or so. And that is a lot for this area. Again, seeing maybe 1 inch throughout the entirety of...
We get it. A lot of rain for the area, very short amount of time. And yeah, the amount of fires that California's had, it's not making this any easier. So I do wonder what's coming off the Pacific coastline. We have seen a ton of trails coming in every other show that we've had lately. So yeah, we had a super powerful cold snap. But now we're entering above average temperatures expected for 200 plus million Americans. 200 million plus Americans after early week polar plunge. We covered this already, but just a reminder. You okay? It's all right. Just some grass. Get it out. All right. He doesn't puke it out. He just does that and then he feels better. I keep telling him not to eat the grass, and then it gets stuck in his throat, and it just tickles. Anyway, November is one of the foggiest months of the year in the Gulf Coast area, with portions of Louisiana coast averaging about 35 to 40 days a year with heavy fog. Yeah, I'll take that with the greatest. Oh, salt. Because I do notice that continually they will say, oh, this is happening and it's very normal. This is happening and it's very normal. This is happening, it's very normal. So I haven't confirmed if that's even true. You know, I had fog like this recently. Could not see. I couldn't freaking see anything. If that car wasn't in front of them, like, it would be impossible to even be able to see that far. Wow. Nice video, Fox. Just keep replaying that guy for 2 minutes and 36 seconds. Yeah, this is how the fog was for me last week, or 2 weeks ago, rather.
In Louisiana.
You ever see the show Suits? This guy kind of reminds me of the main character from that show. A little bit.
We've had that reported. And it's concerning because we know.
I'll show you. This guy, Harvey Specter. Anyway.
This morning. We went ahead briefly down to the Gulf. We do have some super fog this morning. We went ahead briefly down to the Gulf.
Hello.
In Louisiana, we've had that reported. And it's concerning because we know the history that southern Louisiana and super fog has, even in recent memory. The National Weather Service out of New Orleans posting on X saying this, that locally dense fog in areas along and south of I-10 could be enhanced from smoke due to the smoldering fires. Visibility could drop quickly if you're driving this morning. So slow down, increase that distance, allow extra time, use your low beam headlights. Those are all important safety reminders because super fog, it can turn deadly. You might remember this event, at least 7 people were killed, dozens were injured in a pileup from 2 years ago. This was in New Orleans. There were 160 cars. It crashed on I-55. Visibility dropped to 0 in this dense super fog. And we look at the advisories. They're lasting until 9 o'clock Central, so we only have a little bit more time to go. But it's significant and important, especially when you're looking at interstates and thoroughfares. I-10 is included in this dense fog advisory. We've seen some improvement. Gonzales has had much lower visibility, so some improvement. And that happens, right? As the sun rises, we can get some of this fog to burn up. But it's unique or dissipate. I know a lot of people don't like to say fog burns up, but
that's okay.
It's a heating process. So
yes.
Make the argument. But super fog is unique, especially when you deal with what we have in Louisiana, because you have these fires that are underground.
Yeah, it's marshland if you've never been to southern Louisiana. And so you don't really see the flames, but because the marsh is so dense, you have these fires that exist underneath. And this happens in forests as well. Yeah. You can have fires exist underneath a forest bed for months on end. So you throw in the fact that we have fog, that smoke that is emitting out into the atmosphere every single day ends up being an issue because we have moisture that is introduced to this equation.
And when we look at what to do, as the National Weather Service out of New Orleans said,
get off the road.
Turn on those low beam headlights. Yeah, get off the road.
I would say get off the road. It's
Stay
just
off
not worth it.
And wait till a lot of this fog can dissipate. So it's something to watch.
Interesting about the smoke. Yeah, they're right. It does get brought down to ground level. And we do have a California fire. Pack fire burns thousands of acres in California's Mono County, forcing evacuations. Fire is only 5% contained at this point and is under investigation.
US 395, McGee Creek, up the creek.
And this is Mono County, so it's right around here.
Aurora Fest here on Fox Weather at Night. This is a picture that we just had sent in to us via the QR code that you see on your screen. Thanks a lot, Tina Peterson. That's Urbandale, Iowa. Goodness, that is something else, isn't it? Wow.
Isn't it interesting, though, how it was just this giant reddish pink blob?
You got the pinks, you've got the reds, you got the purples, you got some greens in there, too. Here's another one, Anaconda, Montana. I like it. Cameron.
This is the most similar to the Northern Lights, I guess. At least it has some of that green. No, it's just such a weird freaking situation.
Bright. Oh, yeah. Cameron Bright is the name. That was from Montana. My bad on that. Trenton, Texas. How about that? Yeah, so you can see on some of these pictures, there's like a slight edit here or there. You know, a lot of people will try some of the long exposures. Sometimes it's not perfectly visible with the naked eye. But I think in this case, you know, it is actually visible with the naked eye in a lot of cases. So if you're just joining us, New
Hampshire, Illinois, I'll just scroll. Wow. Oh, man. Minnesota. Jeez. Oh, what's happening? Oh, my gosh. That's real time. Wow. Nebraska, Iowa, Jersey. Oh, man. There are theories that, you know, so many different things could be responsible. One of the ideas I was kind of bouncing around was, what if the atmosphere truly is thinning? That would allow this sort of thing to display far further from the North Pole. It could even display down towards the equator if the atmosphere were thinning, because that radiation could get through over here. But I spoke to ChatGPT about this. If the atmosphere were thinning, there would be less humidity in the atmosphere, which should decrease persistent contrails. It should decrease contrails in general. So if they're saying those are all persistent contrails, they can't also say that the atmosphere is thinning. There's so many pieces to this. I'm just so glad that I'm doing this every single day, because even if I didn't have you guys and I were an absolute moron at some point in the future, the answer should reveal itself. And now that I have all you guys and I'm doing this publicly with your help, we should have answers sooner than later. And just for fun, I wanted to show you the largest male great white shark ever recorded.
Take a look at
just
this.
Found.
Meet Contender, the largest adult male great white shark ever recorded in the Atlantic. Pretty impressive achievement. Well, after a brief disappearance, he was just pinged off the coast of North Carolina.
Hold on. In the Atlantic. All right, never mind. I thought it was going to be really cool and groundbreaking. I mean, this is awesome, though. It's a big shark. I hope he wasn't too scared with all these humans and a big ship or boat. Let's get regional. We're doing regions now. Notice how some of these towers just kind of pop off the server every once in a while. We can't see what they're doing when that happens. I'm noticing there's gotta be one over here that's not showing up. Hold on, does it ever pop? Yeah, there it is. Boom, baby. All right. Yes, kitty. Yes, kitty cat. Yeah, there are definitely trails coming in over here. Okay, so I matched the time code. This is the same time. Now it's those freaking types of clouds where it's hard to see what's in here. But judging by the precipitation, that's exactly how it looks when there are trails overhead. There's definitely trails over here. Coming. Wait, where are those going? Whoa. Okay, so those are going down, actually. And then we got them up here. Where are those going? Oh, it's like a circle. Okay, so these are going whoop. Okay, I see faint lines in this particular shot. Faint lines I can see mixed in. Okay, yeah, there's a very obvious trail right here and right here and right here that you can see. In fact, so the reason why I haven't done my fiber video and I haven't done a video talking about my internet setup is because I'm not ready to do it. The fiber adapter that I've been using, it's been working, but then it will, like, after a month, it just doesn't work. I have to, like, put it in a very specific position, and if it moves like even an eighth of an inch in the wrong direction, it cuts my connection. It's messing up my Zoom meetings. I think it's messing up my Zoom meetings. When I have the connection, it's freaking awesome, but they don't make a lot of adapters that do what I want. There is one that it's going to be here, I believe, tomorrow. I think it's going to fix my problem because the adapter that I'm using, it has a built-in cable that goes straight into my computer, but it's that built-in cable that's the problem. The one that I'm getting doesn't have that. It's up to me to provide the cable. So anyway, I'm really excited to try it out. The second I have something reliable, that's when I'm going to be like, okay, this is my setup, because I don't want to recommend a product that's going to, like, it is really a headache. I go above and beyond for my stuff. It's a major, the stuff I've been doing for the last decade would give people migraines. Most people migraines. They don't have the patience for it. Yeah, there are trails in here for sure. I can see them. Even if they're kind of hard to see, I have a very clear view of some of them there. In fact, if I could, I am using my Ethernet adapter, so it's not as fast. I don't want to risk loading more frames. Right now, this is skipping every 60 minutes, but there is very clear evidence. Yes, there are trails coming through here, and that is why it looks like that. Oh, yeah. See, there. For those of you who've been watching for a while now, are you seeing this stuff as clearly as I am? Because I know some people, when you first watch, you're like, where? But then as you get to really know what they look like, you can see them much more easily. Obviously, lots of trails up in here. Oh, wait, we're not doing trails yet. Okay, lots of trails mixed into all of this, actually. We're getting regional. Yeah, look at that. That's right now. Lots of trails right now over California. Okay, so Southern California is the only place in the entire country that will have a constant zip zap 24/7, 365. Never stops. This tower right here. But there's a second tower that's also doing this. And that's not common. It's been doing that for a couple of days now. This one up here. So there's extra activity going on. And this one's been beaming down here. I'm noticing that. That's fairly new, and it's been going nonstop now. It's going that way. Looks like there are trails over here at least 2 days ago. Going in, flowing in. Oh, I can't wait to check out the central portion of the U.S. to see what this is about. We might see it actually when we scooch down south. Do, 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 do. Why is that song in my head? I don't like that song. I'm sorry for those of you who like that song. It's not like I think it's probably a bad song. I'm sorry to offend you. So the sun is rising here. Lots of activity going on all through here. Down into Florida, over here in Louisiana and Texas. Interesting. All over here. In fact, Should we do a zoom? Zoom, 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 make my heart go boom, boom. Oh gosh, why is that song in my head now? Ooh, Flame Like Raider coming off of Eastern Florida. It was brief. So, I would say fire warning, but it was only going for a short amount of time, and it was probably not standard Flame Like Raider that I'm used to seeing. Look at this wave coming out. Huh. Wow. Look at this pattern. I want to scooch up. I guess that'll maybe give me the view I want. Kitty, you can't sit on my lap right now. I need to lean forward. Okay, I'll scooch down. There's like a line here. It's actually easier to see zoomed out. See, it looks like a little electric line. Obviously, all this is really interesting as well. All right here. I really want to know what is responsible for that. All right, where's that radial pulse? There. What was that? What was that? Ah, related to this tower, right in the center. Notice how it's here, and when it goes away, that radial pulse appears. And then comes back online. Now, the tower is functional. It's just disappearing from the server. Could just be a glitch, but worth noting. Yeah, all that static zip zappery. Very interesting, indubitably. And this pattern here, guys, did we even see that pattern anywhere? I don't think so. Gosh, I gotta pull more data to see what that could be. Very interesting. That is definitely a timestamp to remember. We could get some answers with this timestamp because this is such a unique shape that if anything looks like this, we should get some answers. All right, we might as well check out trails. Wow, this is very zoomed in. Let's undo the zoom. This is covering like the last 12 hours. I have to be cautious with the way I'm using the internet right now. All right, so wow, so many trails going on over here. We already know that there's trails in here. They're just kind of hard to see. Trails over here. There's trails through here that we saw. Mixed in. It's very obvious ones coming off the edges here, but they're also loaded up in Canada. Oh, I did learn something. In an area with a lot of wildfire smoke, you could see excessive contrail, like it will increase contrail formation and can increase the ability for persistent contrails to be created. So if wildfire smoke can do that, then any particulate could do that. So, I mean, if you're loading up particulates into the atmosphere, and there's so many, because I'm always looking for reasons why maybe all the lines we're seeing aren't chemtrails. There's that possibility. We can't assume every single one of them is just because they look abnormal. I agree they look abnormal. But if they're not chemtrails, then there's got to be another unusual explanation for it. And if there's an excessive amount of particulate in the atmosphere, then theoretically that could create conditions where persistent contrails would exist and become very common. So that's one normie explanation. You could say that the particulate, I mean, that's the question. Where is it coming from? How have we had so much more particulate added to the atmosphere? Because this is all becoming exceedingly common over the last really 5 years. It's exploded in how common it is. And I will say, I always remember growing up in South Florida, they weren't doing these giant lines. They were doing circles and X's. I will never forget seeing those circles. When they would do trails, they did them in circles. Circle, 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 X, 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 X. And that was so common for like 10 years. But now there's straight lines going super far. So it's easy to say, no, those are just passenger aircraft and those are contrails. But they couldn't have ever said that with those circles and those X's. Too bad we didn't have cell phones with cameras at the time. There would have been so much more footage of that. You know, in Florida, we have a lot of skywriting. This was not skywriting. It's very obviously not skywriting. Lots of trails in the Atlantic. It's taken a minute to load, but we can see them here. Look at all these lines. Bird, bird, bird. The birds, we got trails out here. Yep, plenty of trails out here in the Atlantic. That's Europe over there, Spain and Portugal. And I got trails out here. Looks like there are trails here, like right near northern Africa. That is odd. It's odd because I never see trails going into Africa. There were some times where India was trailing and their trails were coming into Africa. But yeah, look at all this. Huh, interesting. We'll have to definitely check that out from their satellite, which has been so hard to use lately. Some trails mixed in here. Okay, so yeah, I mean, all of this loaded with trails. New England is loaded with trails. Canada, this whole area, all this here. In fact, by tomorrow, this area is probably going to be covered in this white haze. There's trails all in here in that, that's that rainfall that's supposedly going to cause excessive flooding. You guys have trails in those, so be cautious. There's trails out here, trails up here. There's trails everywhere. Trails for you, trails for you. Everybody gets a trail. Trails out here. But remember what I said, in areas where there are smoke, persistent contrails are more likely to exist. We do know there is smoke here. In fact, guys, remember 2 days ago I was like, oh, so weird. I'm seeing some trails in central Mexico. That's weird. I never see that. But we know there's a ton of smoke here. So maybe, just maybe, that's why we're seeing some pretty extensive persistent contrails. I don't know. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt, but that is a normie explanation. You could also put your tinfoil hat on and say they're exacerbating the fires. The chemtrails are creating all this metal particulate dust that's dropping onto the fires to make them even more intense. I mean, who freaking knows? Mexico, I don't see that happening in Mexico because they don't normally trail ever. And if they were to be a part of that, then they would do what, was theorized to have happened in the United States, where all these metal particulates, like this powder dust, is dropped in areas that haven't even ignited yet for months in advance. And then when the area does ignite, it's uncontrollable. The heat is just uncontrollable. Oh, that's right. I'm not using my fiber internet. Blech. There we go. Gosh, doggy, drink some water. Got trails out here. Okay, that's it. Drink some water. Zusi, drink some water. Drink some water. He's like, no, I'm fine coughing. I prefer the coughing. Or the heaving. I wish I could just communicate with him. Say, if you drink some water, the grass would go down. And then it wouldn't be stuck, causing your tickles. Oh my gosh, is he listening to me? He's drinking water. That's amazing. Good boy, Zeusy. You speak English. I gotta get him some buttons. Alrighty then, we're at the Southern Pacific. Looks like contrail here. I say contrail because it's only there for one frame. Oh no, it's there for a second. There's only one of them though. So that could be, because remember, persistent contrails can't exist. The weird thing is to see them all over the place so frequently. There are trails in here. I can see that trail aftermath over here, and it's mixed in as well. I believe there are trails in here because it looks like the aftermath over here. Then again, those are the lower altitude clouds. So maybe not. Trail aftermath is usually a little bit higher altitude, like that smoky look. Oh, what just happened? I am having the hardest time zooming in without shutting this thing off. But I can see there are obviously many trails here. There are trails mixed in here heading into California. I'm not seeing anything over Alaska, which is nice. We already saw that there were trails in Canada. I do wonder if there are trails here. We'll get a better view when we switch satellites. I don't think I'm seeing trails in Southern Australia today. Oh, there could be some in here, actually. It looks like there are some. They've been getting some trails lately in their southern area. And could be mixed in there. And then those usually go down to New Zealand. What the heck is that? There's some in Kazakhstan, definitely some in Russia. They are all about that trailing in Russia. They all about that trail. Which definitely makes me wonder what this is all about. Because Russia, say what you want about Russia, they limit their radiation exposure. They're not even allowed to sell cell phones at the radiation levels that we have in the U.S. They have organic produce. I don't believe they're really limited with pesticide use. They really care about toxicity there. So I do wonder, what's with the trails, man? I feel like I don't have it all figured out. I gotta figure it out. Maybe there's a bigger answer to all this. I think there is. I think there's a bigger answer to all of this. Run away before you drown. Falling leaves, falling leaves on the ground. All right, let's see what we've got going down over here. Sorry, I thought I saw something. Nope, I didn't. All right. All right, what is going on over yonder? Ugh. Well, it looks like these are actually not getting into Africa. It looks like they're going south. Okay. So, still no trails over Africa, except up here. Let's see what's going on up here. Okay, so these are getting left in the Atlantic, turning into haze and then ending up over Africa. Very interesting. Those look more like those suspicious trails. But not as, yeah, no, they look like pretty standard suspicious trails to me. We've got these up here coming down. Oh, come on. You can do it. Guys, it is so worth it paying for the 5 gigabit internet with the whole fiber connection, because I've been filming for an hour and a half, but you guys are only seeing an hour. It's 30 minutes of loading that I do off screen. In fact, I'm going to pause it right now. Okay. So yeah, definitely trails over this entire area. See all these lines? And the lines over Europe have always looked a little bit fainter. But from the ground, they look exactly the same. Well, it looks like there's trails mixed into all this, all those high altitude clouds. Oh, Europe. There's a better view of those trails going over into Africa. Not used to seeing that. That's one for the books. All right, friends, thanks for joining. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night.